She's a devil in disguise is what she is, a master manipulator and a liar. I shivered in my skin when she told me that she wrapped a rope around a woman's neck and cut a baby from her. God. Disgusting.
It's supposed to be a happy time for us. Looking forward to my first grandbaby. Now I don't know.
In August 2017, Savanna LaFontaine-Greywind, a 22-year-old nursing assistant, disappeared from her apartment in Fargo, North Dakota, after leaving to help a neighbor with a supposed sewing project. Her family's immediate concern was met with confusion, misleading statements, and silence. Days later, Savanna's body was found in the Red River, and the horrifying truth emerged that she had been brutally murdered. The case sent shockwaves across the nation and brought renewed attention to the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. So, what led to this unimaginable crime, and how did justice unfold for Savanna? Let's reveal the heartbreaking story.
Immediately, my heart dropped. I knew instantly something happened to my daughter.
Savanna Marie LaFontaine-Greywind was born on August 9, 1995, in Belcourt, North Dakota. A proud member of the Spirit Lake Sioux tribe, she grew up in a close-knit family in Fargo, North Dakota. Her parents, named Norberta and Joe Greywind, described her as a loving and hardworking young woman who cherished her family and friends deeply. Savanna maintained a strong connection to her Native American heritage, with her family actively preserving and honoring their culture. Her upbringing instilled in her the values of love, respect, and resilience, which shaped her character and inspired her aspirations. Those who knew Savanna often spoke of her kind-hearted and gentle nature. Her warm smile and caring demeanor endeared her to many.
Savanna's my oldest daughter of 4 children. She went missing in August 2017. I last seen her, she was going to help a neighbor sew a dress.
She demonstrated a constant commitment to helping others, which led her to pursue a career in healthcare. Savanna was not only a beloved daughter and sister, but also a source of support and inspiration to her community. Her compassion and dedication to making a difference in the lives of others reflected her genuine spirit. At the time of her death, Savanna worked as a certified nursing assistant. She was passionate about her job and found fulfillment in providing care to those in need. Her ambition extended beyond her current role, as she aspired to further her education in nursing. Savanna was also preparing for one of the most significant moments of her life, becoming a mother. She and her boyfriend, named Ashton Matheny, were expecting their first child, a daughter they planned to name Hazley Jo. The couple was deeply in love and eagerly looking forward to starting their family.
We were sitting there joking around in our texts. I wish I would have talked to her on the phone. I can't tell you how she was feeling at the time without like an emotional, but from the text messages from the last time, it seemed like she was happy.
In the weeks leading up to her death, Savanna's life was filled with hope and excitement. She and Ashton were planning to move into a new apartment to provide a stable and loving home for their baby. Savanna was known to be a devoted daughter, helping her parents with household responsibilities while balancing her work and preparations for motherhood.
She was great. She would have been a great mother.
Can you tell us about seeing your baby granddaughter for the first time?
She was beautiful. She looked just like her mother.
On August 19, 2017, Savanna entered apartment 5 to help her upstairs neighbor, Brooke Lynn Cruz, with a supposed sewing project. The 38-year-old Cruz had a troubled past, marred by unstable relationships and a reputation for manipulative behavior. She had 6 children from 5 different partners but had custody of none. Known for fabricating stories to gain control or sympathy, Cruz had formed a volatile relationship with William Hone, whose criminal history mirrored her own. Their connection was fueled by mutual dependency and dysfunction. Once Savanna stepped inside the apartment, events took a terrifying turn. Cruz later admitted to pushing Savanna to the floor, rendering her unconscious. What unfolded next was an act of violence that shocked the nation.
Got busy chatting. Her dad came up and said that, mom wanted to see her or call her or whatever. And she didn't call. She got up and went out. And that was the last time I saw her.
William Hone, Crew's boyfriend, arrived shortly after the attack and joined in what became a premeditated and gruesome crime. The couple had conspired to abduct Savanna's unborn child, and their plan was set into motion. Crew's violent actions weren't random, they were calculated. She wanted to take the baby and raise it as her own, and in doing so, she was willing to commit the most unspeakable acts. With Savanna lying unconscious or semi-conscious, Crews attempted to perform an at-home C-section in the apartment's bathroom. Using a utility knife or blade, Crews began cutting into Savanna's abdomen. The bathroom, once an ordinary space for hygiene, became the scene of unimaginable horror. Blood splattered across the walls and floor as Crews, driven by her disturbing desire, forcibly extracted the baby from Savanna's womb. The entire scene was a gruesome violation of the natural order of life.
We were running constant surveillance and investigating several different theories regarding Savanna being held against her will and/or her unborn child being induced or removed and possibly alive.
In the midst of the violence, Crews and Hone left Savanna to die. Instead of seeking help for the young woman they had so brutally attacked, they turned their attention to the newborn girl they had stolen. They focused on caring for the baby, now an innocent victim of a heinous crime. Meanwhile, Savanna died. Later, they wrapped her body in garbage and threw that body in Red River. As a result, Savanna succumbed to her injuries and passed away. Afterwards, Crews and Hone disposed of her body by wrapping it in trash and throwing it into the Red River.
The body was pulled out of the river by law enforcement at about 8:20 this evening, and at about 9:20, that body was identified as Savanna Greywind.
The horror did not end there. In the aftermath of the crime, authorities uncovered disturbing evidence that painted a horror picture of the couple's intentions. Books on childbirth and C-sections were found in the apartment, suggesting the crime had been meticulously planned in advance. Crews had researched the details of the procedure she would later attempt, giving credence to the idea that she had prepared herself for the violence she would unleash. This premeditation only added to the horror of the situation. What had begun as a seemingly harmless visit quickly escalated into a violent, calculated act of abduction and murder. The couple's actions were driven by a twisted desire for a child that did not belong to them, and in their desperation they left behind a young woman, alone and dying in a bathtub, all in the name of fulfilling their perverse plan.
Please check your property, buildings, garages, outbuildings for any sign of entry or any sign of someone having been there. Landlords, please check your vacant apartments.
Savanna's life, full of promise and potential, was violently cut short. The brutal nature of the crime, the premeditation, and the callousness of her attackers shook the community to its core. The murder of Savanna was not just an act of violence, it was the manifestation of a deep and disturbing cruelty that resulted in the loss of an innocent life and the abduction of her child. Savanna's family grew increasingly worried when she failed to return home that afternoon. Just before heading upstairs, she had texted her mother, Norberta, telling her she had ordered pizza for lunch.
Circumstances, by absolutely all objective accounts, appear like she was going to be gone for just a few minutes and come back. She had ordered a pizza. She had text messaged her mother, said it's going to be here soon.
When Savanna didn't return, her parents visited apartment 5 several times, but each time, Brooke Crews gave a different excuse. At one point, Crews claimed that Savanna had already left. Growing more suspicious and desperate, the family contacted the police to report her missing.
My daughter is missing. The lady on the 3rd floor had came down and asked her if she would do like mannequins for tailoring.
The local community responded swiftly. Volunteers and grassroots organizers launched intensive searches across nearby parks, wooded areas, and neighborhoods, hoping to find any trace of Savanna. Despite their tireless efforts, there was no sign of the 22-year-old. Days passed without answers, but the search continued. The disappearance shocked the local community, who rallied around the Greywinds, sharing information and offering support. However, the lack of progress in the investigation left the family feeling helpless and confused, while their worry about Savanna's safety deepened. Little did they know that the answers they sought were much closer, hidden behind the walls of the apartment where they had been seeking answers all along.
She shares with her parents in order to help a neighbor upstairs who asked her to be a model for a dress fitting. Police say a tip led them back to the apartment building today, where they discovered that newborn who was just 2 days old.
The pair maintained their innocence with composure, presenting a calm and cooperative front to authorities. They denied knowing anything about Savanna's disappearance, successfully deflecting suspicion even as the case garnered widespread attention. Their ability to feign ignorance allowed them to delay suspicion, but cracks in their story began to emerge as the investigation progressed.
Should we go all the way down and do on the side of the road? Sure. That way we don't have to wait.
Deneen DeLore knows and works with Savanna.
Is there anything underneath? No. Did you check?
Yep. She and her colleague came to help out because at this point, it's all anyone can do.
On August 27, 2017, 8 days after Savanna vanished, authorities observed Cruz making an unusual purchase at a local store of diapers. The act seemed innocuous on the surface but immediately raised alarm bells. Investigators questioned why Cruz, a woman with no known children in her care, would suddenly need diapers, particularly as the timeline of Savanna's disappearance came into sharper focus. This critical observation provided the impetus for law enforcement to act decisively.
On grid maps and doing certain areas of search right now.
Chief Larry Mason from the Belcourt Fire Department was a main organizer of the search for Savanna. Each time a group came back, he made sure that area was marked off as searched. He, along with many people from Belcourt, Dunseith, and several other cities.
Armed with this newfound suspicion, police secured a second warrant to search the couple's apartment. This time, their thorough investigation led to a discovery. Inside the apartment, lying on the bed, was a newborn baby. DNA testing soon confirmed the investigators' fears, that the infant was Savanna Greywind's daughter, Hazley Jo.
He was right there. You just didn't see it. The baby was like right there. A little bad, like I didn't want to go out and spend money for a crib right away because I've been trying to get caught up on rent to make sure the electric don't get shut off. How does she keep like baby from crying? She's just a really good baby.
This heart-wrenching revelation marked a turning point in the case, but it left the most pressing question unanswered: that what had happened to Savanna? On August 30th, just 3 days later, the search for Savanna came to a devastating conclusion. Kayakers on the Red River discovered her body, wrapped in garbage bags and caught on a log. The medical examiner later determined that she had died from blood loss caused by homicidal violence. The grim recovery of her body not only confirmed the family's worst fears, but also left the community in a state of profound grief and outrage.
As law enforcement, through our investigative efforts, we will continue to pursue justice for Savanna. Savanna was the victim of a cruel and vicious act of depravity.
The horrific details of Savanna LaFontaine-Greywind's murder shocked the nation, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and heartache. The case began with a quiet disappearance, but quickly escalated into one of the worst crimes in recent memory. Brooklyn Cruz was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and providing false information. Her boyfriend faced similar charges, though he denied direct involvement in the murder itself. As the trial unfolded, Cruz provided a horrifying account of the crime. She admitted to luring Savanna upstairs under the pretense of a sewing project, only to attack her.
That was when he said to me, he had told everybody that I was pregnant, and I needed to produce a baby.
Cruz described restraining Savanna while Hone allegedly helped dispose of evidence and remove her body. Throughout the proceedings, Cruz showed little remorse. consistently portraying herself as the mastermind behind the gruesome act. Her cold demeanor sent shockwaves through the courtroom, leaving those present in disbelief.
Where did your mind go from there when you heard those comments from Mr. Hain?
Frantic. What am I going to do? I took that to mean that I better have a baby, and it didn't matter how I got it.
In February 2018, the court delivered its verdict. Cruz was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a sentence meant to reflect the heinous nature of her crime. Howin, though not directly involved in the murder, was found guilty of kidnapping and sentenced to 20 years in prison with the possibility of parole. While the sentencing offered some semblance of justice, the lasting impact of Savanna's death would continue to resonate throughout the Native community and beyond, shedding light on the epidemic of violence against Indigenous women. The trial, though concluded, left many wondering if enough was being done to prevent such tragedies from occurring again.
And you get a significant number of Native women, the perception is always going to be out there in the public or otherwise, is that these individuals don't matter as much as other people do. And we have to show people that isn't true. And the only way you can do that is be proactive and get those things done.
In the wake of her death, activists and tribal leaders organized vigils and rallies across the nation. On September 16, 2017, hundreds gathered at North Dakota's state capitol in Bismarck to honor Savanna. Similar events brought communities together, amplifying the call for justice and systemic reform.
Native women are not safe. Well, Native people are not safe. This is not a safe society for us. We are oftentimes presented by the media as...
Savanna's story resonated nationwide through true crime documentaries and podcasts, keeping her memory alive. For her family, including her daughter, Hazley Jo, she remains a symbol of resilience. Her legacy endures, inspiring a movement to end violence against Indigenous women and bring lasting change.